We're celebrating our 300th episode of Paper Napkin Wisdom with a special bonus. Go to papernapkinwisdom.com, scroll to the contact form at the bottom, and type the word book. We will send you 3 free ebooks: the Demand Blueprint, the Profit Blueprint for Mastering Cash Flow, and the Paper Napkin Wisdom Gratitude Ritual. That's a $25 value, all yours free. Just sign up at papernapkinwisdom.com.
Welcome to Paper Napkin Wisdom, where we share pearls of wisdom shared by some of the world's top entrepreneurs, leaders, and difference makers. Here's your host, Govindh Jayaraman.
Hi, I'm Govindh Jayaraman, and this is Paper Napkin Wisdom, episode 312. This is an Edge of the Napkin episode. It's our 11th one. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to get caught up in the energy of the next big thing? When everyone around you is chasing the same opportunity, it almost feels like standing on the beach just before a wave hits. You feel the pull, the excitement, the possibility, and without even realizing it, you're in motion too. And that's what the AI boom felt like for a lot of entrepreneurs, a rising tide that seemed to lift every boat. But what happens when that tide turns? When the blue water of opportunity turns red with competition? When the future you bet on becomes today's proving grounds? That's what we're talking about today, because this moment, this correction, isn't about loss, it's about clarity. It's about coming back to what's real, to what lasts. You see, hype fades, but value endures. And when you build for value, when you focus on simplicity, execution, and contribution, your results don't depend upon the market's mood. They depend on your foundation. So as you listen today, you might notice something. Notice where in your life where you might be chasing the tide and where you might be ready to build something deeper, something steadier, something truly valuable. Let's explore what it means to build for value over the hype. Hi, welcome back to Paper Napkin Wisdom. This is Edge of the Napkin, episode number 11, where we explore ideas that are on the edge of the napkin, moving from ideas to action. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the news out there right now that a lot of AI companies are struggling. And today we're going to talk about when your future bet becomes today's proving ground, when this idea of make-believe, this vision that you have, gets confronted by reality. And have you ever noticed how easy it is to believe in the next big thing? How the new wave rolls in and suddenly we're all standing on the shoreline with surfboards, convinced that this is the one that's going to carry us straight off into the horizon. We tell our stories like rising tide lifts all boats, and we believe them. We chase the tide. We chase that feeling. We chase the momentum that says, this is it. This is the one. And here's what happens next. The tide shifts. The water gets choppy. And we realize something quietly uncomfortable, that not all boats float the same way when the current changes. Right now, that's what's happening in the world of AI and tech. Markets are pulling back. The big hype, the gold rush, is being tested. Investors, entrepreneurs, and dreamers all are facing that inevitable moment when innovation meets reality. And the story goes something like this. AI became the new electricity. Everybody wanted in. Capital flooded in. Startups exploded overnight. Every company rebranded itself as an AI company, and the narrative, the one we all love, is the future is here. Except now, it isn't as clean, is it? Because what happens when your future bet becomes today's proving grounds? When investors stop rewarding potential and start asking for performance? When customers stop being impressed by the acronym and start asking for outcomes? Well, that's when teams realize that building for hype feels different than building for value. When they start looking for value, that's when the real work begins. That's when leadership starts. I want you to imagine something for a moment. You walk into a room filled with mirrors. Each one reflects a slightly different version of you. the visionary, the operator, the risk taker, the caretaker, the dreamer. For a while, it's beautiful. Every reflection sparkles with potential. Every angle catches light in just the right way. And then the lights flicker, and suddenly you're left standing in a room full of reflections that don't quite feel right anymore. The one that looked bold looks anxious. The one that looked confident now looks tired. The one that looks visionary now looks uncertain. And that's what happens when a narrative breaks, when the illusion of endless growth collides with the truth of sustainable value. It isn't new, it's cyclical. We've seen it before. .coms, crypto, NFTs, now AI. Every cycle begins with unbridled expansion, the blue ocean moment. Everybody sees open water and rushes in. But then comes the red ocean, when competition, noise, clutter, and greed cloud the water, when everyone's shouting louder, cutting deeper, and fighting harder for the same fish. And in that red water, something beautiful happens. The ones who survive are the ones who remember what business is really about. It's about helping people. It's about solving problems that matter. It's about adding value, not extracting it. So, see, the funny thing about hype cycles is they feel really good. They trigger something in us: hope, momentum, fear of missing out, FOMO. It's intoxicating. And as entrepreneurs, we love the hit. It feels juicy. We love the energy, the early adopters, the buzz, the love, the unbridled love without condition, the belief that we're ahead of the curve, that we've got something special, that this is it. And what happens when that buzz fades, when the markets shift, trend cools, and the easy money moves on? That's when we discover what's underneath. That's when we see if we've built something that actually lasts, if our intent was aligned with who we really are. Because when the noise dies down, there's only one question left. Did you build something valuable? Not valuable in the pitch deck sense, valuable in the human sense. Does what you do make life better, easier, or more meaningful for someone? Because here's the thing: profit follows contribution, always, every time. And that's not philosophy, it's physics. When you create value, energy moves toward you. When you extract value, energy resists you. It's why some companies feel magnetic. People just want to be around them. People want to work with them, work for them, work around them, just be around them, own them. And others feel repellent, like they're always chasing, selling, convincing, pushing, storytelling. The best ones, they don't chase, they attract. They attract talent. They attract customers. They attract opportunity. And that attraction is rooted in one thing: authentic value creation. You know, when people say a rising tide lifts all boats, they forget to mention that when the tide goes out, you see who built their boat on sand. There's another saying I love: pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. In good times, everyone eats. In bad times, you see who is feasting too much on an illusion. And maybe you've heard easy come, easy go. The bigger they are, the harder they'll fall. All different ways of saying the same truth. What rises fast often falls faster. The antidote: ground yourself in value. Because when you do, you stop being reactive. You stop playing the game of catch up. You stop measuring yourself against the noise and start aligning yourself with purpose. And that's what separates hype builders from value builders. Hype builders seek validation. Value builders seek contribution, helping people. The first group needs the spotlight. The second group creates the light. And let's go deeper for a second, because it isn't about markets or money. It's about energy and emotion. Every business, every brand, every team runs on emotional fuel, on emotional connections. It's not just what you do, it's how it feels to do it. And think about your own work. How do you feel about it when you talk about it? How does your team feel about it when they show up to work each day? How do your customers feel when they engage with you? That emotional state, that feeling, is the energy that drives everything else. So when the emotion is right, the performance follows. When the emotion is misaligned, no matter how brilliant the idea, it falters. Most AI companies, most hype companies got that wrong. They started extracting before they were contributing. They looked for efficiency before they built empathy. They tried to optimize before they understood. It's like building a skyscraper without pouring the foundation first. You can't skip that step, not if you want it to stand, and not if you want it to stand when the ground gets a little shaky. And here's a principle that I've seen play out again and again. And I've seen it happen because I've been on both sides of this. Money, success, and customers do not go to people who chase them. They run away. Money and success go to where they are safe, where they are welcome, where they are invited. It's like oxygen. You can't grab it, but when you breathe deeply, it fills you. You can't demand it, but when you open up, it flows in. And that's how energy works in business too. When you operate from fear, scarcity, and pressure, it repels. When you operate from clarity, contribution, and care, it attracts. So if the market feels like it's turning on you, maybe the question isn't what's wrong with the market. Maybe it's what signal am I sending? Maybe it's because the markets are mirrors. They reflect what's inside. If you're grounded in value, the reflection shows growth, even in decline. If you're grounded in hype, the reflection shows fear, even in expansion. So let's talk about simplicity for a moment, because when things get complicated, simplicity wins. When everyone else is spinning complexity, the leaders who clarify, simplify, who make things feel obvious, they rise. Simplicity is magnetic because it creates certainty in uncertain times. It cuts through noise, it builds trust, and simplicity is not the same small thinking. It's not the same as small thinking. It's clarity of purpose. It's the discipline to say, this is what matters most in all of the noise. For AI companies and for every entrepreneur right now, that's the real challenge. To strip away the illusion, the jargon, the we're changing the world fluff, and come back to a single clean statement. What value do we actually create in the world? What actual value do we give to our customers, to our teams, and to ourselves? Now, what we hope to create someday, not what we hope to create someday, not what our investors want us to say, what we actually do for people right now, because that's the anchor. That's what keeps you steady when the tide goes out. So here's the part that most people resist. When the story changes, you have to change the storyteller. You can't tell the same story that worked in the boom and expect it to work in the pullback. You can't tell people and keep selling potential when people are demanding proof. You can't keep speaking in vision when the room is asking for results. That doesn't mean abandon the vision. It means ground it, bring it to reality, make it visible, measurable, meaningful, felt. Because vision without execution is hallucination, and the market has no patience for hallucination. So what do you do when your story changes? You pause, you breathe, you listen, you reconnect with your purpose, your why, you ask better questions, you realign your team, you simplify your message, and you make the invisible visible. Think about your own journey for a second. Have you ever felt that you built something that didn't quite land or said something that didn't quite land? Maybe you thought this is going to change everything and then it didn't. I've been there. The world just keeps turning. Customers didn't flock in. The investors didn't bite. The momentum stalled. And in that moment, you had a choice to blame the market or get curious, to retreat or to recenter. At that moment, that quiet, uncomfortable pause, that's when and where leadership is born. Because real leadership doesn't happen in the boom. It happens in the test. It happens when the lights flicker, when the mirrors shift, when you see yourself more clearly than before, when the hallucination fades and you remain. And if you can hold steady there, not panic, not overreact, just breathe and return to value, you engage stronger. You build better. You lead wiser. We're in a global pivot right now. AI isn't going away, it's evolving. The hype is burning off, and that's where substance is left. And that's a good thing. It's the moment when quick followers drop away and the real builders dig in the moment where opportunists step back and the optimizers step forward. It's the moment where extractors fade and contributors rise. And here's what I love about this moment. It's clean. It's clarifying. It's real. The world is asking for leaders who create real value, not noise, not hype, not promises, value. And that's where you and I and every entrepreneur who's listening right now get to prove what we're made of. This is the proving ground, not a punishment, an invitation to come back to truth, to clarity, to value, to ask ourselves, what am I really building? Why does it matter? Who does it help? What does it make possible? What does it make easier? What does it make automatic? And when you can answer those questions simply and clearly, everything else starts to align. Your team believes. Your customers feel it. Your results start to flow. It's not magic, it's alignment. It's the natural result of getting real. So let's go back to energy again, because this is where action meets the napkin. When you recenter, you shift energy from panic to presence, from fear to focus, from hype to heart. And people feel that. They don't just hear your words, they feel your intention. They don't just see your product, they can sense, they can feel your purpose. They don't just buy what you sell, they believe in what you do. And that's why value is the ultimate strategy, because it aligns intention and action. It aligns belief and behavior. It aligns you with the people who matter most, and alignment creates momentum. It's what turns effort into ease. It's what turns a proving ground into a launch pad. So let's make it practical. If you're feeling the market shift under your feet, here are 3 questions that bring yourself back into center. Where am I adding real value, not just noise? Strip away everything that's performative and focus on contribution. What does simplicity look like in my world right now? What's the smallest, cleanest, and clearest action that would move the needle? And how can I make my people, my team, my customers feel safe, seen, and supported? Because energy flows where trust grows. Answer those questions honestly, and you'll know exactly where to go next. When high expectation innovation collides with reality, you have 2 choices: to mourn what was or lead what's next. And what's next always belongs to the ones who center around value, the ones who build slowly, deliberately, with care, the ones who aren't seduced by noise and are grounded by purpose, the ones who measure success not by how loud it looks, but how deeply it helps. So maybe this week, your napkin is simple. Write these 3 words: value, simplicity, contribution. That's your proving ground. That's your reset. That's your truth. And when the next wave comes, because it always does, you'll be ready, because you'll be building for value, not for hype. And maybe, just maybe, the rising tide won't lift all boats this time, but it'll lift yours. Because you built for depth, not for drift, for meaning, not for motion, for value, not for vanity. That's this week's Edge of the Napkin. If this one hit you, take a moment, draw your takeaway in a napkin, and share it with me at Paper Napkin Wisdom. And remember, profit follows contribution, always. And make it a great day.